Walk into almost any city in the world, and you'll see the same familiar logo on professional athletes, teenagers at school, CEOs on their morning run. Even people who don't play sports proudly wear Nike every day. At first, that seems perfectly normal. After all, Nike makes shoes. But here's the question most people never stop to ask. Why would millions of people willingly pay more for shoes when cheaper alternatives exist almost everywhere? The answer isn't hidden inside the shoe. It's hidden inside your mind. And once you see what Nike is really selling, you'll never look at the brand the same way again. Most people believe Nike became successful because it makes better shoes. That's the story everyone knows. But it's only a small part of the truth. The sportswear industry is filled with companies that produce comfortable, durable, and high-quality products. Adidas, Puma, New Balance, Asics, and dozens of others all make excellent shoes. Yet Nike continues to dominate much of the global market. So if quality alone can't explain its success, what can? The answer is something far more valuable than leather, rubber, or fabric. Nike discovered that people rarely buy products. They buy the person they hope to become. And that single idea changed the company forever. The story begins in 1964, long before Nike became a global icon. Back then, the company wasn't even called Nike. It started as Blue Ribbon Sports, a small business founded by Phil Knight and his former track coach, Bill Bowerman. They weren't trying to build a fashion empire. Their goal was much simpler. Import high-quality running shoes from Japan and sell them to American athletes. Phil Knight often sold shoes directly from the trunk of his car after track meets, hoping runners would give the brand a chance. At that moment, nothing suggested this tiny startup would one day become one of the world's most valuable brands. Everything changed when the founders realized something their competitors had overlooked. Athletes didn't just want better equipment. They wanted confidence. They wanted to believe they could run faster, jump higher, and perform better. Nike understood that a product could become much more powerful if people connected it with ambition, victory, and personal identity. From that moment forward, the company stopped thinking like a shoe manufacturer. It started thinking like a storyteller. And that decision quietly transformed a small sports company into something much bigger. Because once people stop buying what you make and start buying what you represent, the rules of competition change completely. That new way of thinking led to one of the smartest marketing strategies ever created. Instead of filling advertisements with technical details about cushioning, materials, or shoe design, Nike focused on something much more emotional. Its commercials rarely tried to convince people that one shoe was objectively better than another. Instead, they made viewers imagine a better version of themselves. Every campaign carried the same message. Greatness isn't reserved for a few extraordinary athletes. It begins with the decision to try. Nike wasn't simply selling footwear anymore. It was selling motivation. And people don't easily forget a brand that makes them believe in themselves. Then came another move that changed the entire sports industry. Nike partnered with athletes who represented more than just success. They represented dreams. When Michael Jordan stepped onto the basketball court wearing Nike, millions of fans didn't just see a player wearing sneakers. They saw excellence, discipline, confidence. Suddenly, buying a pair of Nike shoes felt like buying a small piece of that identity. Over the years, the company repeated the same strategy with legendary athletes across basketball, football, tennis, running, and many other sports. Each partnership strengthened the same idea. If the world's best trust Nike, maybe you should too. But here's the fascinating part. Most people who buy Nike products will never compete in the Olympics. Many won't even play organized sports. Yet they still choose Nike because the brand quietly stopped belonging only to athletes. It became a symbol of ambition. Whether someone is going to the gym, walking through the city, or simply getting dressed for the day, wearing Nike sends a subtle message. Not to other people, but to themselves. It says, I'm improving. I'm moving forward. I don't quit easily. That's why Nike's famous slogan, "Just do it," became far more than an advertising campaign. It became a mindset. 3 simple words turned into one of the most powerful brand messages in history because they weren't really about sports. They were about overcoming excuses. And when a brand becomes part of the way people think, it becomes much harder to replace. Nike didn't stop with athletes and advertising. It kept strengthening its image through limited edition releases, exclusive collaborations, and carefully timed product launches. Every time a new sneaker dropped in limited quantities, demand exploded. People lined up outside stores, websites crashed within minutes. Some buyers weren't even planning to wear the shoes. They simply didn't want to miss the chance to own them. Scarcity created desire. The harder a product became to get, the more valuable it felt. Nike understood a timeless truth about human behavior. People often want something even more when they believe they might lose the opportunity to own it. At the same time, Nike invested heavily in innovation. New cushioning technologies, lighter materials, improved performance, and constant product development helped the company stay competitive. But here's the important part. Innovation alone wasn't enough. Many competitors also created excellent shoes. What made Nike different was its ability to combine innovation with emotion. Customers weren't just buying better technology. They were buying a story, a feeling, and an identity that competitors struggled to copy. Of course, Nike isn't without challenges. Fashion trends change, consumer preferences evolve. Competition from Adidas, Puma, New Balance, and emerging brands continues to grow. Yet Nike has remained one of the world's most valuable sports brands because it built something far deeper than customer satisfaction. It built loyalty. And loyalty doesn't disappear just because another company offers a lower price. When customers emotionally connect with a brand, switching becomes much harder than simply comparing products. So, why does Nike sell more than shoes? Because shoes were never the company's most valuable product. Nike sells confidence. It sells ambition. It sells discipline. It sells the feeling that every workout, every run, and every small step brings you closer to the person you want to become. The shoe is simply the physical product. The real purchase happens in the customer's mind. The biggest lesson isn't about sneakers at all. It's about understanding people. The world's greatest brands rarely win by making the cheapest products. They win by giving customers a reason to believe in something bigger than the product itself. Nike mastered that idea decades ago. And that's why millions of people around the world proudly wear the famous Swoosh. Not because they need another pair of shoes, but because of what those shoes represent. If you enjoyed this documentary, subscribe to Finance with Zaid I. Every week, we uncover the hidden strategies behind the world's biggest brands, one business secret at a time.